Okay, greetings one and all and welcome to this math video. In this video, we'll be considering a BJC pass paper, and this is a mathematics BJC pass exam, and we'll be looking at paper one. So join me as we dive into this paper. It's a mathematics paper one BJC pass paper. And so let's begin. Consider question number 1A. Notice that question 1A is an addition problem. And here we have to add 137 plus 62 plus 258. And so let's begin with the ones column. We have 7 plus 2 plus 8. So what is 7 plus 2 plus 8? Well, 7 plus 2 plus 8 is definitely 17. We put the 7 below and we put the 1 above. So the 1 goes in the tens column. So now we have 1 plus 3 plus 6 plus 5. What is 1 plus 3 plus 6 plus 5? Well, the answer is 15. So we put the 5 below and we put the 1 above. Now we go to the hundreds column. Notice that we have 1 and then 1. So we have 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 is 2 plus another 2. And the answer is 4. So here, the answer to this addition problem is 457. Okay, let's consider question number 1B. Question number 1B. Now, question number 1B is a subtraction problem. And here we have 937 minus 897. And let's begin with the ones column. We know that 7 minus 7 is definitely 0. And 3 minus 9, well, what we have to do here is we have to regroup. And so what is 9 minus 1? Well, 9 minus 1 is definitely 8. And so we put the 1 over here. So now we have 13 minus 9. What is 13 minus 9? Well, 13 minus 9 is definitely 4. And we know that 8 minus 8 is definitely 0. So the answer to this subtraction problem is 40. Moving on, we go to question number 2A. Now, question number 2A is definitely a multiplication problem. We have 1,208 multiplied by 6. And so let's begin. 6 times 8. Well, 6 times 8 is 48. We put the 8 below and we put the 4 above. Next, we say 6 times 0. Well, 6 times 0 is 0 plus 4. That's going to be 4. Now we have 6 times 2. What is 6 times 2? Well, 6 times 2 is 12. Put the 1 down. So I put the 2 down. I put the 1 above. And so now we have 6 times 1. What is 6 times 1? Well, 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1. That is 7. And so the answer to this multiplication problem is 7,248. Now let's go on to question 2B. Here we have a division problem. We have 1,796 divided by 4. Here 4 is the divisor and 1,796 is the dividend. The first thing we ask ourselves is how much times or how many times can 4 go into 17? The 4 goes into 17, 4 goes into 17 4 times. And so we have 4 times 4. Well, 4 times 4 is definitely 16. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to subtract. So what is 17 minus 16? Well, 7 minus 6 is definitely 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. And so 17 minus 16 is definitely 1. So let's bring down the 9. So we bring down the 9, and now we ask ourselves, how many times can 4 go into 19? So 4 goes into 19 4 times. And so we say 4 times 4. Well, 4 times 4 is 16. And so now we're going to subtract. Now we have 19 minus 16. What is 9 minus 6? Well, 9 minus 6 is 3. And 1 minus 1 is 0. Now we have to bring down. We have to bring down the 6. And so we put the 6 here below. How many times can 4 go into 36? Well, 4 goes into 36 9 times, exactly 9 times. So 4 times 9 is 36. And so we have 36 minus 36. Well, 36 minus 36 is definitely 0. Next, we have question number 3. It says, write the letter of the diagram which shows a trapezium. Here we have a figure for A, a figure for B, a figure for C, and also for D. Which one of these figures represents or shows a trapezium? But the correct answer is definitely D is definitely D. D is the trapezium. Well, what is a trapezium? Well, a trapezium is a four-sided figure, which means that it's a quadrilateral. Quadrilaterals are four-sided polygons. Next, a trapezium has one pair of parallel sides. And so if you notice, we have this side right here. This side is parallel, the side AB is parallel to DC, all right? So those two sides are parallel. And so a trapezium has at least one pair of parallel sides. Next, we have that the sum of the angles, the sum of angle pairs between parallel lines is 180. So notice that this is 100 and this is 80, and if we add them, that gives us 180. And also notice that this is 122 and this is 58, and if we add them, that's also 180. And so this right here is definitely a trapezium, and so the correct answer is definitely D. D is the correct answer, right? D is the correct answer. And so let's move on to the next question, which is question number 4. Okay, so question number 4 says, write the fraction, okay? Write the fraction represented by the shaded region. It's very important that we make sure that we understand that we're talking about the shaded region. It's the shaded region that we are trying to write a fraction for. So we notice that this is one whole. This is a circle that is fully shaded. So that's one whole. So we have 1 here. And we also have this next circle, but the circle is divided into 4 equal parts. And so it's divided into 4, the circle is divided into 4 equal parts. And if we notice that 3 of these 4 equal parts is shaded. So this is 1, this is the next one, and this is the next one. So 3 out of 4 are shaded. So the fraction is going to be 3 over 4. So in totality, we have 1 and 3 over 4 that is shaded. And so this is the correct answer for number 4, 1 and 3 over 4. Next, we have number 5. Number 5 says, draw in the lines of symmetry on the diagram below. What is a line of symmetry? A line of symmetry is a line that cuts an image directly in half such that one side is exactly identical to the other side. In other words, one side is the mirror image of the other. And so the line of symmetry for this rectangle, one goes vertically up and down. That's a line of symmetry for this shape. And the other one goes horizontally. And so that's another line of symmetry for this shape. So this shape, this rectangle has 2 lines of symmetry. Now let's move on to question number 6. Question number 6 says, on a map, 1 inch represents 5 miles. How many inches would represent 35 miles? And so in order to do this, we must divide. So we have to divide 35 by 5. And if we divide 35 by 5, we get 7. So 7 inches. So how many inches would represent 35 miles? The answer is going to be 7 inches would represent 35 miles. The next question says, when C equals 3 and D equals 4, evaluate this algebraic expression, which says CD divided by 2, and the fraction bar means division. And so let's write down this algebraic expression that was given, CD divided by 2. Now notice that C is 3 and D is 4. So wherever we see C, we put 3, and wherever we see D, we put 4. And so let's do that. We have 3 times 4. Okay, so we have 3 times 4. The C is 3, the D is 4. Why the multiplication sign though? But the multiplication sign, we put that because C and D, the operation between them is multiplication. How do we know that? Because they are side by side. They are adjacent to each other and they are close. And so that implies, or that means that the operation between them is multiplication. So we have 3 times 4. What is 3 times 4? So 3 times 4 is definitely 12. And we put the 2 down below. And this is 12 divided by, remember the fraction bar means divided by. This is 12 divided by 2. And 12 divided by 2 is definitely 6. And so when C equals to 3 and D equals to 4, the value of this algebraic expression, CD divided by 2, is definitely 6. Now let's move on to let's move on to the next question. The next question says, Bill bought a pair of shoes in a sale for $45.90. He saved $5.45. What was the regular price of the shoes? It's very important to note that if this is a sale, that means that the regular price would be less than the sale, which means that the sale price, which is $45.90, would be less than the regular price. So the regular price is going to be more than the sale price, and the sale price is going to be less. Let me say that again. The sale price is going to be less than the regular price, and the regular price is going to be more because if you're doing a sale, then the sale price should be lower than your regular price. And so that means that we have to add. We have to add $45 to get the regular price. We have to add $45.90 to $5.45. And so let's add. Notice that we have $45.90 and we have $5.45, and we must add them. And so let's begin with the ones column. We have 0 plus 5. Sorry, this is not the ones column. This is actually the hundredths column. But this is 0 plus 5. So we have 0 plus 5. 0 plus 5 is definitely 5. And then we have 9 plus 4. What is 9 plus 4? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's going to be 13. We put the 3 down and we put the 1 above. Now we say, okay, well, what is 5 plus 5? Well, 5 plus 5 is 10, plus that other one that's going to be 11. So we put the 1 below and we put the other one above. And so we say, well, what is 4 plus 1? Well, 4 plus 1 is definitely 5. And so the answer here is $51.35. And so the regular price of the shoes is $51.35, which makes sense because it's the regular price. It should be more than the sales price. Okay, let's move on to the next question. It says, study the diagram below, then answer the questions which follow. Name one pair of corresponding angles. Now, in order to answer this question, we must know what we mean by corresponding angles. And a definition here is given. Corresponding angles occur when a transversal, and the transversal is here, the transversal, it cuts the pair of parallel sides. It cuts the parallel lines. It says corresponding angles occur when a transversal line crosses two parallel lines. The pairs of angles form on the same side of the transversal that are the same sides. So it's important to note that corresponding angles are the same sides. So they are equal to each other, all right? And so when we're doing corresponding angles, the shape to remember is the F shape. Okay, that's the shape to keep in mind. And so if you look here, you see the F shape, okay? The F shape is what we're looking for. We know that, and then again, you can see the F shape, okay? The F shape is what we're looking for. So once you find that F shape, okay, and you notice that the one that's on top here, that's X, okay? And we know that this one here, again, that's also X. So that those are what corresponding angles. And here again, we can also point out the F shape right here, and right here, and right here. That's the F shape. And notice that this is W, and this is also W as well. Okay, so those are corresponding angles right there. So they are equal. So let's go to our diagram and let's draw out the F. Notice that here we have the F drawn, and angles here that we're going to look at is A and E. They are definitely corresponding angles. They are right there with the F. And so one pair of corresponding angles is A and E. That's definitely one pair of corresponding angles. We can give another one. I mean, in your exam, you only want to give one pair because you only ask for one. But A and E is not the only one. You can also use, there's also another one. Look at it. Look at the diagram carefully. See if you see the other pair. Look at it carefully. If you said B and F, then you're right. It is B and F. B and F is also another pair of corresponding angles. So you could either write A and E, or you can write B and F, but don't put all two of them at the same time. Only write one of them, especially for exam. So in the exam, you only want to write one of them. The next one, it says angle A is 60 degrees. So here is angle A. This is angle A. Okay. So what is the size of angle D? Notice that here is angle D. So angle A is up here, and angle D is is here. We know for sure that angle A is 60. So what is the size of angle D? Remember the last time we looked at a F shape, but this one we're going to look at a Z shape. And so the Z shape, that is going to be your alternate interior angles. And alternate interior angles are equal. So that means that if A is 60, then that means that D will also be 60 as well. And this is just a description talking about alternate interior angles. Notice the Z that is formed for these ones. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 10. It says express 38% as a fraction in those terms. Notice that we can write 38% as a fraction by putting 38 over 100. And so we have 38 over 100, but it says write it in lowest terms. So what number goes into both 38 and 100 without leaving a remainder? A number that we can use is definitely 2. And so 38 divided by 2 is 19, and 100 divided by 2 is 50. And so 38% written as a fraction in lowest terms is definitely 19 over 50. And so that's the answer, 19 over 50, because we write it in lowest terms. So 38 divided by 2 is 19, and 100 divided by 2 is 50. Moving right along, we have number 11. And here they say, from the set of numbers, so we have this set, okay, or this group of numbers, and it has 6, 7, 11, 61, and 51. And they said, from this set of numbers, I want you to write down one composite number. Now, composite number has 3 or more factors. And so one composite number here is going to be 51. Okay, that's a composite number because we could think about at least 3 factors of 51. 1, 51, 3. Right? That's at least 3. So it's definitely a composite number. Once it's not prime, so composite number is the opposite of prime. So prime numbers, once the number is not prime, then it's composite. So in general, obviously there are some exceptions, but once a number is not prime, it's composite. So 51 is a composite number because it's not prime. Because if it was prime, then only would have 2 factors, which is going to be 1 and 51. But it also has another factor, which is 3. And so because 3 goes into 51, so that's not the only composite number. So that's not the only number that goes into 51. I should say not only does 1 and 51 go into 51, but also 3 goes into 51. So 51 is composite. You want one odd number? There's different odd numbers here. I'm going to use let's use 11. 11 is odd. And then we want one factor of 54. Let's list the factors of 54. The factors of 54 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18, 27, 54, and one factor 54 that is here in the set is definitely 6. Now, again, these are not the only solutions or the only correct ones because we can put, now remember in your exam, you only want to put one answer. So this is a good sample answer. You don't want to put 2 because they only answer 1. But other ones that could work as well is if you're looking at composite numbers, we know that 6 is also another composite number that could be used here. And other odd numbers are 7, 61, and 51. They are odd, so they could be used from 4B. Okay. So let's move on to question number 12. It says the sum of 2 numbers is 12. One of the numbers is 8.78. Find the other number. So the way that we're going to do this is definitely going to subtract because we can subtract 12 minus 8.78. And let's do the subtraction. 12, notice that this is 12.00. That's the same thing as 12. And so we have 8.78. Notice that we line them up perfectly. And so we're going to subtract it. Now, we use that subtract 0 minus 8. We can't do that. So we have to go over here. If the borrow, well, you can't borrow from 0. So we have to borrow from 2. 2 minus 1 is definitely 1. And so this becomes 10. And so what is 10 minus 9? Sorry, what is 10 minus 1? Well, 10 minus 1 is 9. We'll be borrowing from this 1 to get 1 to here. And so now this is 10 minus 8. What is 10 minus 8? Well, 10 minus 8 is definitely 2. And what is 9 minus 7? Well, 9 minus 7 is definitely 2. as well. Do not forget to put the points. Now we have 1 minus 8. Well, we can't do 1 minus 8, so we have to borrow from this side. So we're going to say 1 minus 1 is 0. And we put the 1 here. So it's going to be 11 minus 8. What is 11 minus 8? Well, 11 minus 8 is 3. So the answer here is going to be 3.22. So the other number is 3.22 because if you add 8.78 and 3.22, your answer is going to be 12. Again, if you add 8.78 plus 3.22, your answer is going to be 12. So that's the other number. Let's move on to this mathematical expression. We have 5 squared plus 3 cubed, or 5 to the second power plus 3 to the third power. And so let's figure out what that means. Like, what do we mean by 5 squared? Well, 5 squared means 5 times 5. What is 5 times 5? Well, 5 times 5 is 25. So 5 squared means 5 times 5, which is 25. Now, what is 3 to the third power, or what is 3 cubed? Well, 3 to the third power means 3 times 3 times 3. We know that 3 times 3 is 9 times 9. So again, 3 times 3 is 9, and times 9 by 3, you get 27. So 5 squared is 25, and 3 cubed is 27. So let's use those numbers as we evaluate this expression. Again, 5 squared is 25, and 3 cubed is 27. When we add them together, we get 52. And so the answer for this question is 52. Next, let's move on to question number 14a. Notice that it says simplify by collecting like terms. Now, all of these terms are like because all of them have m inside of them. So let's do it like this. We're going to say 16 and 4. So what is 16 minus 4? So 16m minus 4m is going to be 12m because 16 minus 4 is 12. And we just bring down, this m, okay? And so now we have 12 plus m. Now, when you just have m by itself, what that really means is 1m. Okay, so what is 12 plus 1? Well, 12 plus 1 is definitely 13. And so the answer here is 13m. So 16m minus 4m plus m is going to be 13m. That's the answer, 13m. Moving right along, let's go on to B. It says solve for D. Here we have this linear equation. It says 5D minus 32. Sorry, 5D minus 8 equals 32. Our goal here is to isolate D. We want D on one side and everything else on the other side. We want our variable on one side and everything else on the other side. So let's move 8. Okay, we'll send 8 over the equal sign. We know here it was a negative 8. When we send it over the equal sign, it's going to be a positive 8. And so now what we have is 5D equals to what? 32 plus. It was negative here. When we send it over, it becomes what? Plus 8. So 5D equals to 32 plus 8. Now we do what? We say 5D equal to, we have to add these, right? 32 plus 8 is going to be what? 40. And so now we have 5D equals to 40. What are we going to do here? Remember, our goal is still to make D by itself. But this 5 is here. We don't want this 5 here. We need to move that. And the way to move that is we have to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. And so we're going to divide both sides by 5. And so we have these two 5s are going to cancel each other. And so we're just left with D equals to 40 over 5. What is 40 divided by 5? Because that's what this bar means. It means division. What is 40 divided by 5? But 40 divided by 5 is definitely 8. And so the correct answer here is 8. So D equals 8. That's the answer to this linear equation. Let's consider number 15. Number 15 says, tickets marked R, Y, B, W are placed on a tray. And so we have here R, 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 W, R, W, Y, Y, W, B, Y. It says without looking, what is the probability of selecting a ticket marked W? So the question is, how many tickets that are marked W do we have? Well, we have 1, 2, and 3. We have 3 tickets that are marked W out of this whole tray. But how many tickets do we have in total? All right, so let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 11 in total. So we have 3 that are marked W, and we have 11 in total. And so that means our probability of getting a ticket marked W is going to be 3 over 11. Okay, let's move on to question 15B. It says, without looking, what is the probability of selecting a ticket not marked W? So how many tickets that are not marked W? Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 tickets that are not marked W. And so it's going to be 8. The probability of choosing or selecting a ticket not marked W is going to be 8 or over 11, because there are 8 tickets that are not marked W, and it's out of 11. The whole tree has 11 tickets. Okay, let's move on to question number 16. We have 16A. So here we have a sofa. Its cost is $960, but you could pay a down payment of $96, and you can pay the balance with 12 equal monthly payments. So the question is, what is the balance? And the balance is what you pay after you pay the deposit. And so we're just going to subtract, because we know it costs $96, sorry, $960, and we already put the down payment. And so the balance of what's left over for us to finish pay is going to be $864. And so $864 is the balance. The rest of you have to pay after you already put in the deposit or the down payment. Now it says, how much is each monthly payment? Okay, so in order to do this, what we must do is we must take $864 and divide it by 12. Okay, again, $864 divided by 12. What do we get? Well, let's divide it. So let's take 864 and divide it by 12. So we say how much time, but how many times can 12 go into 86? So 12 goes into 86 7 times. And so 12 times 7 is 84. Now we subtract. What is 86 minus 4? Sorry, what is 86 minus 84? Well, 86 minus 84, we know that 6 minus 4 is 2. And so 86 minus 84 is 2, because 8 minus 8 is 0, so you just left with 2. So next, let's bring down the 4. And so we say, how much times can 12 go into 24? Well, 12 goes into 24 twice. So 12 times 2 is 24 exactly. So now we have 24 minus 24, and that's going to be 0. So we have 860. So we have $864 divided by 12. That's going to be $72. So his monthly payment is going to be $72. And that's the answer to this question. Let's move on to number 17. It says a class has 14 boys and 18 girls. Right? The ratio of boys to girls in those terms. It's very important. We have to keep the ratio in the order that is written. It says boys to girls, so we have to keep it boys to girls. Okay. So how much boys do we have? Well, we have 14 boys according to the question. How much girls do we have? We have 18 girls. But it's still not simplified yet. What number can go into both 14 and 18 without leaving a remainder? And so we have to look at number 2. Well, 2 can do that, because 14 divided by 2 is 7, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. So the ratio of boys to girls in those terms is 7 to 9. 7 to 9. Now let's move on to question B. Question B says, write the number of girls as a percentage of the class. Wait, how much persons are in the class anyway? Well, we know we have 14 boys and we have 18 girls. So we have add them together. So the total amount of persons in the class is 32. Okay, so we got that. How many girls do we have though? Well, there's more girls than boys. So that's 18 girls, but only 14 boys. So let's write that girls, let's write the number of girls as a fraction of the class. All right, so there are 18 girls and there's 32 persons in the class. All right, so that's 18 over 13. Now, how are we going to take this fraction and write it as a percentage? Because that fraction represents the number of girls as a fraction of the class. Sorry, the number of girls relative to the entire class. That's what this fraction represents. The number of girls relative to the total amount of class, the total amount of students in the class, which is 18 over 34. But we're going to change this fraction into a percentage. And the way we do this, we multiply by 100. And so we say so we say 18 times 100. And what is 18 times 100? Well, 18 times 100 is 1,800. And then we do 32 times 1. And what is 32 times 1? So 32 times 1 is definitely 32. And so now we have 1,800 divided by 32. And let's see what is that. So we put the 32 on the outside, that's the divisor, and we put the 1,800 as the dividend on the inside. And we say, okay, how many times can 32 go into 180? We say 32 times 5. Well, 32 times 5 is 160. So 32 times 5 is 160. And so we subtracted 180 minus 60. And so we know 0 minus 0 is 0. 8 minus 6 is 2. And so we left with 20 here, and we have, so we bring down the 0. So we have 200. So how many times can 32 go into 200? Well, that's going to be 6 times. And so 32 times 6 is 192. And so we have to take away 192 from 200. And what we do is, there's a bunch of borrowing and grouping. And so 0 minus 2, we can't do that. So we have to go over to the 2, and we have to borrow the 1. That becomes a 1. We have to turn this into a 10. Borrow the 1. That becomes 9. And this, put the 1 here. So now we have 10 minus 2, which is 8. And then we have a 9 minus 9, which is 0. And so we have 1 minus 1, which is 0 as well. And so 10 minus 2 is 8. So we're left with 8. And so what we have to do is we have to put a decimal point. And so when you put a decimal point, that decimal point gives us the permission to put a 0. And so we have 80. And so how much times can 32 go into 80? Well, 32 goes into 80 twice. So 32 times 2 is 64. And so we have 80 minus 64. 80 minus 64 is definitely 16. Again, we have the decimal point. That decimal point gives us the permission to put a 0 here. And so we ask ourselves, how much times can 32 go into 160? The 32 goes into 160 exactly 5 times. And so we have 32 times 5, and 32 times 5 is 160. We subtract the 2. And so our answer is 56.25%. Okay, that's the answer there. And so the number of girls as a percentage of the class is 56.25%, which is a little more than 50%, which makes sense because there are more girls in the class than there are boys in the class. Okay, let's move on to the next question. The next question says, use a pencil. Okay, use a pencil. Okay. So the question says, use a pencil, ruler, and a pair of compasses to draw a circle of radius 4 centimeters. And then B says, insert the following on the circle above. We need the center B, we need the diameter ABY, and we need the radius BC. And so what do they want us to do? They want us to do a pencil, a ruler, a pair of compasses. And so they want us to use these geometrical instruments in order to complete this question. And so what I'm going to use is I'm going to use some online tools to help us. And so let's go. So we have, let's consider the compass, all right? But let's first look at the ruler, because remember they said that they want notice the question. The question says that they want the radius to be what? 4 centimeters. And so let's consider that, all right? So let's move on. So we have 4 centimeters. It must be 4 centimeters. So we have to do it like this. Notice that has to be what? 4 centimeters. And so let us get our compass. Let's put our compass here. And so let's extend it. It has to be 4 centimeters. All right. And so that's 4 centimeters. We're going to lock that in. And we have to draw a circle, all right, with that diameter. Okay, so let's move the ruler, and I'm going to draw a circle here. Okay. And very good. So that's a circle. Now, they said that we want a circle of what radius, a radius of what 4 centimeters. And so the radius starts from the center to a point on the circumference. And so we're going to call that 4 centimeters. That is the radius. Okay. Now the radius is going to be BC because the center is B. Okay. Center is B. And so the radius is BC. The radius is BC, the center is B, and this other endpoint is C. Now we also need the diameter. Diameter goes from one end of the circle to the other, but it must cross the center. All right, so let's go. This is going to be our diameter here. Okay, and the diameter is ABY. So let's label it. Diameter is ABY. Let's get this. We don't need this. So the diameter is ABY. We don't need this. Just need this. So this is A. Okay. This is B, and this is Y. Right? And so what else do we need? What else does the question say? The question says, let's go back to it. It says we want the center to be B. We did that. We want the diameter to be ABY. I want the radius. And so our completed image is this. We have a radius, which is 4 centimeters. PC is 4 centimeters. We have the center, which is B. And we have the diameter, which is ABY. So that brings us to the end of this video. Hope you find it helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.